Do I point or do you point?
I'll point. Any questions at all?
I think there are no questions.
Wow. Okay.
You should ask some
I can
questions.
definitely field some.
Justin, there's someone right up at the top.
Okay. Difficult to see because, oh, there he
Whoever
is.
it is, just
Okay,
shout out.
shout out loud.
I saw you did the animation. Was that something that inspired you in the first place, or did that just end up happening?
We actually, the original thing of this was a cartoon. We actually did a cartoon first. And from the cartoon, we did a short. And from that, they let us make the movie. And there's stuff snuck in from the cartoon and the short all throughout the movie to make it feel a little bigger. So it was originally a cartoon idea. We wanted to animate it and make it a fun, wackadoo, crazy cartoon.
I actually wanted to ask about the casting in this. Was it a long process, or did you already have most of the performances, most of the actors in mind?
We already had Mary Death, Christian Petrie, and Barry Hartley, who was in, if anyone saw The Last Lovecraft here, he was in that movie. So he's a good friend of mine, so I was like, he's in the movie. We'd actually fight for him. We had like people like Napoleon Dynamite were going to be in it. I'm like, no, I'm sure make us more money, but I want our guy Barrick. And then Christian actually came in an audition. She came in a Tomb Raider outfit with a knife and threatened to kill us if we didn't give her the part. And so there she is on the screen. And then the rest of the casting, we have a guy, Peter Pappas, who I do a lot of graphic design also. So I worked on 2.5 Men, so he does that show, and we're good friends from that. And so he just went out and busted his ass to get everyone in this movie. And so it was just odd. You're just like, oh, I'm on the phone with Gary Busey. I'll see you tomorrow. You know, it's just kind of a wild experience of getting everybody on. And everyone, because we had to shorten the cartoon, they could all see it and say, oh, this is what the movie's going to be. I'm in. Let's do it. So I was like, okay, cool.
Wow, that's very cool. Is there anyone else in the audience?
Is there anyone else in the audience? There in the middle?
You mentioned Gary Busey. What's it like working with him?
Like working with Gary Busey. I will tell, if anyone's going to the pub after dark, I will tell off-the-record stories there. But as far as, me wanting to work again in my career, I can't say it right now. But they were fun. He was actually very fun, but it was definitely what you think it would be.
And I think I noticed in the credits, Alexa Vega has a tiny role as like a steward.
It's funny, I feel bad. She's actually, she was, because of, we didn't have a lot of money, and her scene involved a huge airplane crash. Because what she was is she's actually, in the movie we flash, after Mary cut Smoka's head off, she passes out and we flash back to her as a little girl. And she was in the corporate wars, and she's on a private jet. Her dad was actually a corporate criminal. And there was a stewardess who was Alexa Vega who was keeping her calm. And the plane crashes, because it's in the corporate wars. And so the plane crashes, and because Alexa Vega was keeping her calm, then she actually ends up fighting. What happens is gypsies come and take the plane and kidnap Mary. And she's fighting all of the gypsies in a stewardess outfit, and that's why Mary Death wears a stewardess outfit.
Was that
in her
actually
honor.
shot?
It was, some of it was shot, but at the end we couldn't afford to make this big airplane. It just looked, it'll be on the DVD. It looks really bad, and you'll see why we cut it.
Very cool.
But Alexa Vega is great, and I'm really sad that she didn't make the final cut.
Anyone else up there? In the back?
Way back
What
there.
are your greatest post-apocalyptic inspirations?
Everything from definitely, obviously, Mad Max and Ice Pirates is one of my favorite movies. I don't know, I love it. And this is more. When I have money, I will make a Mad Max, but because we didn't, I will make Ice Pirates, or try to achieve that greatness. But those movies, and then movies like Death Race 2000 for sure. We actually stole a line. Jimbo actually quotes Frankenstein at the end of the movie, and that's when he says, "You're making that shit up," in which he's just, so it's just kind of a funny thing. But all of those movies, anything that was on HBO as a kid in the 80s, late at night, I'm like, what the hell is this Time Riders movie? I love it. Those kind of movies definitely were what we loved for this one, for sure.
Nice. Right there.
Isn't this kind of like Atlas Shrugged meets Road Warrior?
It's really funny. I've never read Atlas Shrugged, but Matthew Martin is in Atlas Shrugged. And I know the concept, so you are correct. Catherine is Atlas Shrugged, the bad guy is her, and then we go kill her. So I will eventually read that book and be able to answer that question correctly, and maybe see the movie, but I couldn't come to myself to watch it either, so don't tell Matthew, shh.
Anyone else up there?
How about this guy?
There?
It just seems you have quite a collection of automotives in this movie. Where do you get them
He
from?
just said cars. Oh, I speak English, I understand.
It's not only
I know it's Canada. I understand. It took me a while. I read the Planet book. Sorry, go ahead.
You've got motorbikes and oddball cars in there too. Just where do you get them all? And
It's really funny. It started off, I used to own an old 68 Mustang, and it was a piece of shit. It broke down all the time. So I was always at this shop where they had cool Mustangs. And that's where it all started. I saw the yellow Mustang that Mary had at the beginning and the black one at the end. And I literally went to the guy and said, "Your car's really cool. Can I use it in my movie?" And he just goes, "Yeah." And he was like, and I was like, "Do you want my number? Do you want my name?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll get all that information." And that was the start of it. And that's how every car got in this movie. Everyone was like, "Yeah, we want to, as long as I can be in it, can you pay me up?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we got pretty much all of these cars totally for free. I think at the end the budget was like $300 for gas, and we paid one angry hot rod owner who was like, "No, I'm getting paid for this." But everyone was really cool of like, we just want to go out in the desert and drive around and do it. So it really helped because we couldn't have afforded that. It would have been me on a bicycle, like, look how badass we are.
I noticed
you had a huge number of extras in the movie. Were a lot of them just people that wanted to come out and volunteer, or yeah?
And then my wife is actually 500 people in this movie. The poor woman, it was like, I'm like, "Honey, wake up, you're coming with me to shoot." She's like, "I've got to work." I'm like, "Nope, you're coming with me today." So she was a gypsy, a bad girl. She gets killed like 3 or 4 times. And that's what it was. It was friends and family of just like, "Do you guys want to be in a movie?" And they're like, "Sure." And one of like, I don't know, at the very beginning when they were in the big destroyed, like the airplane graveyard kind of place, that was Father's Day. And so everyone brought their kids and everyone came out and they were like, "This is the best Father's Day I've ever had." And it was like, just because they got to have fun and watch, everyone loves watching Mary Death and driving her car. So it was like it was fun. So it was definitely a family made picture for sure. Held together with glue and baby diapers.
Anyone else up in the audience? Okay. Yeah, up there? Somebody?
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry.
So when you transitioned in from a cartoon to a real movie, were there any actors that you wanted to get but couldn't get that you thought were that character?
My ultimate goal in life is to work with Kurt Russell at some point, so that was always my dream. So we couldn't get him, but that was like my one goal. And I don't even know where he would have been in the movie. I just was like, "Can we get Kurt Russell? Like, where is he?" I'm like, "I don't know, just put him in every part." But we ultimately, the voice actors all the people in the cartoon had their own huge random careers and could never do the short. So we couldn't bring them along on the short, and in the short we brought along everyone we could possible for the feature. So we to really backwardsly answer your question, we wanted to use everyone in the cartoon, but they all got too big, and then we made the short, and then here we are now.
I wanted to ask, with the last Lovecraft in this, both films have a very tongue-in-cheek, very like humorous tone.
Right.
Is that something that you do want to do primarily, or do you have serious films in you in the future? Or what?
I have serious films somewhere in me, but usually, like for this movie, it was intended to be definitely fun. So what my goal is next time is that I go a little more serious, but you still have fun. I always want to have fun, so I always want to make, like, hopefully my next movie is something in the ilk of Raiders, where it is very fun, but it's not as silly, but I do love making silly. So, as soon as I think once I have a baby, I'll become a man and I'll be like, "All right, let's make serious movies."
Anyone else? I know it's, there we are in the back.
For your inspiration for Jimbo, I don't know if you ever played Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh.
There's a character in that game who looks exactly like him and also speaks a bit of gibberish. I'm just wondering if...
I've actually, I know the game, I've never actually played it. That was my cousin's creation. My cousin co-wrote the movie with us. So he was his up and down, left way, and then actually, we always imagined him as a skinny, scrawny guy, which may be Warrior, the Plants and Zombies, but then we got Abraham, who's this big, giant beast of a bearded man. So I'll talk to Jason, I'll see, did you steal that from Plants and Zombies? We got called out in Toronto, so.
I think we got time for a couple more. Okay, anyone else? Right there.
Oh.
I just want to say, I like the part where, like, at the start, where, like, the guy, like, hits the kid with the magazine. It's like, that says misogyny. I like that.
That was funny, and he says, the character's name is Henry, which is my name. And so that was Barrick saying, you know what this movie is this, you piece of shit. And I was like, I know, but you know. So. But thank you, yeah.
We've got time for maybe 2 more questions. Anyone? Yeah, I think
Oh wait,
over there.
Sorry, just how many shooting days?
we had 18 days, which is, yeah, it was very fast. There was no time to, you just collect things. You're like, it's like a train headed towards a cliff, and you're like, I hope I can get something, and then that's what it was. So it was pretty nuts. And I don't know who made up 18 days, but somehow the production company's like, no, you have 18 days. And you're like, okay.
Right there.
We'll go you way in the back, and then we'll come to you
Yeah, we
next.
can do both.
Yeah.
You see it in, and how many days did you shoot Christina?
Christina was 2 days, and actually she wasn't, the whole thing of her, Christina, sorry, you said Christina, Christina, she, at the end, is actually not in the room, she's on a blue screen, because we only had her for so short of a time, but she was 2 days, and then Gary Busey was 2 days. And we actually had to cut some Gary Busey stuff, because it was getting a little too much fun with him. No, we couldn't even shoot it. I was like, all right, we don't have time, let's cut this. And that's actually, at the end, when he's tied up, saying, I'm not going to tell you anything, that's actually my cousin, the writer, dressed in Gary Busey's outfit, and that's why he has a bag on his head, so you couldn't tell it wasn't him. Yeah.
That other question?
And then, you,
What scene posed the most problems for you in production?
that's a good question. In post-production or the whole thing?
I guess in general.
Oddly, it was the drip rock, which I don't know if it's the scene where Mary finds out the drifter is a criminal, and they kind of crash out the window, and she has the cherry bombs. Because we couldn't afford squibs, and that was the one day we had squibs, and it takes like 8 hours. It takes forever it takes 4 hours just to hook them up. And so that whole scene was just us running around trying to get any kind of action, because we had about an hour to shoot. I'm like, just pull your cherry bombs out and run around. You know, that was a very tough one, because I was not used to how long it took for real things, which is, I want to use them for sure. But in most movies, as you guys I'm sure know, like an action scene, some of them will get 6 weeks, some of them will get a week, some will get 2 days. Most action scenes were probably 3 to 4 hours each. It was just like, okay, here we go, you know. So it was one of those kind of things.
Were you shooting multi-camera on the movie? Or
We had it's actually funny why the film festivals are fantastic. I was at Slam Dance with Lovecraft, and the short film that played before I really fell in love with, and I met the guy who directed it. And because of coming to film festivals, he was our second unit director. So which was actually just us like this. I'm like, you do this, I'll shoot this. So we had multiple cameras, and we only had one day where we really were crazy, and it was that kind of outside of the council building when Mocha gets her head cut off. We had to shoot 500 million things in no time, and so we were literally back to back. I'm like, you take the extras, action. I'm gonna take them now, action. I mean, it was just crazy. So,
Did I hear
but
you
fun.
had a stunt team from Skyfall?
Oh, we had we didn't have the stunt team. We had the Ultimate Arm, which is it's a cool like SUV with a giant camera on it. And I don't know how we got them. We had a great line producer. I said, can we get one of these cars? And they're like, no. And I was like, come on. And it just showed up one day, and they just taken a break from Skyfall. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And so they came out, and they worked for nothing, and they were, at the very beginning, they were very, they came from Skyfall. So like, you don't even know, who are you? Maybe we should direct this movie. And I was like, okay. And then literally about an hour in, they were having so much fun that they were just along for it. And it was just really cool. They're like, we can stay longer, we can do this. And they're like, and it was my favorite day to just, because it was the one day I got to use the big boy toy that everyone gets to use. And I was like, can we use this in like intimate bar scenes? I'm gonna drive a Porsche next to the actors because it looks so cool. So.
All right, well.